Hello, everyone. A very
Yes,
good afternoon to everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of Team POJS for this webinar in the Cutting Edge webinar series. A happy Janmashtami to everyone present here. And as the festive season has kick-started with all the festivals in line, but we all, as being doctors and academicians, learning and academics shouldn't take a backseat. So today we are again with one more webinar, and today's topic is medico-legal topics, and I'm sure everyone would benefit from it. And before we start the webinar formally, I would like request the host, the RX events, to please play the prayer song so that we can have the short prayer. Can we have the prayer, please, Mr. Prasad?
one second.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Now I would request our President POJS, Dr. Aarti Nimkar, to give her presidential address.
Yeah. I welcome you all for this cutting edge webinar on the medical legal aspects. And I think everybody in small or big medical legal problem we have to face, and this webinar will help us and guide us, the medical legal experts, Manish, Dr. Varke sir, or past president, Dr. Bhalera sir, they will guide us for this, how to face the medical legal problems. And we are having the three sessions in this. This is the death, the patient in the healthcare institute. What will be the implications? And second is the indemnity, because it is very essential having the indemnity insurance to run the hospital and to face these abnormal problems. Then third one will be the labor care in the antepartum. Ruchi Thakur, intrapartum care. She will talk on this. And for all this, we are having the speaker for the indemnity insurance. Meenakshi is going to talk, and for her, then Vaijanti and Lakshmikan are the chairpersons. And for the Ruchi's Dr. Mangala and Dr. Sanjay Konde are the chairpersons. And now I think it is our family get together, and we are going to take the speakers and chairpersons and guest. Namaskar, sir. Guest of honors from our family only. So, Sandhya, we take it forward.
Thank you, ma'am. So I request our Clinical Secretary, Dr. Amol Lunkad, to please introduce our first guest of honor, Dr. Bhalera sir.
So it is our privilege today to have Professor Dr. Bhalera sir as the guest of honor for this webinar. Sir has been the HOD of BJMC. He has had valuable contribution to work in obstetrics and gynecology, hundreds of publications and citations in his credit. And he has had immense work in obstetrics and public health and gynae oncology. Sir, welcome to this webinar. And it's an honor to have you today.
Okay, thank you very much. I think your introduction somehow has gone bit here and there. Dr. Bhalera A.N. I was a professor in OBGYN department, and I was there for about 40 years as a huge teacher. And then I was also president of POJS 2003 and 4. So that is enough of my introduction. Now I request you to please go ahead with the next.
I request Vaishali Madam to please introduce our next guest of honor, Dr. Warke sir.
Thank you, Sandhya. It's indeed an honor to welcome our guest of honor. Like Aarti Madam said, this is POGS family here today. None other than Dr. Dilip Warke, who is a great doyen and stalwart in the field of medical legal. And this webinar indeed is very unique. And Dr. Manish Matswe, our chairperson medical legal committee, Foxy, who has just handed over his committee, has compiled this entire webinar for all of us to learn so much from it. And talking about Warke sir, we all of us know him as a person who is always there to help us out in any kind of problems, medical legal challenges. And sir has been doing this since many years. He was chairperson medical legal committee in 2007. And he's also been president of POGS 2019. And during his tenure, that was the first year that POGS anthem was created. All of us have seen the POGS anthem and we have been part of it. And since then, POGS anthem plays at each and every POGS function. So, sir is associated with Jupiter Hospital. And
Bas, enough.
And, sir, your expertise and your knowledge has truly enriched this webinar. And thank you for being us. We all of us need your blessings and wishes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Vaishali. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So first of all, let me thank the entire POGS managing committee for this particular webinar. Actually, it reminds me of my childhood movie that I have seen, which was, and Dr. Bhalera would remember that movie, which said that if it is Tuesday, it must be Belgium. It was a wonderful song also. The movie was released way back in 1969. Similarly, thanks to Aarti, thanks to Meenakshi, thanks to Amal, and not to forget Meenu. Nowadays, I feel if it is Tuesday, it has to be 4 p.m. and it has to be the cutting edge webinar. So thank you very much for this kind of webinars. I take this opportunity here now to congratulate Meenu also for her success as a VP in her election as a VP for Foxy. And I give you good luck also today in the morning. I got your message, Vaishali, you're also going to contest for that. So I'm giving my best wishes to you also. It is indeed an honor to be a guest of honor alongside Dr. Bhalera, who was my president when I was the secretary of the society. And it's also my honor to be a guest of honor while Aarti, the youngest president of POGS, I call her the youngest president, is the chief guest for the event. The topic for this week are very important. Manish on death in the healthcare and Meenakshi on professional indemnity are the two lawyers of POGS who have the legal brain to help us in any case when we face litigation, and they also have an activist in them to make a difference by doing advocacy thanks to the positions that they hold in various organizations. And Ruchi on intrapartum care, I term this as a clinico-legal topic because if the delegates follow what Ruchi is going to tell us, the possibility of litigation in obstetric cases can be minimized to almost 90%. I am here, ready here, guys. Manish, Meenakshi, and Ruchi, I am here ready with a pen and a paper to jot down notes while you speak. So thank you very much for that. And I'm looking forward to interaction with the chairpersons also, Vaijanti, Lakshmikant, Mangal, and Sanjay. Looking forward to it. I offer my best wishes and blessings to the event. And now I think it's time that I shut up and let the faculty members talk.
And Dilip, not only the POGs are joining this webinar, but non-POGs, non-MBBS also wanted to join this webinar today.
Great.
So, yeah, they asked me, can we join and listen this? So I told that I will send you the link and you join there.
I'm sure all of them are going to benefit because of the kind of knowledge Manish and Meenakshi is going to share with us, and of course Ruchi also on that topic of intrapartum care. So it's going to be wonderful. I'm going to be logged in for the whole webinar, and today is the time to learn a lot from these speakers.
Yes, I agree, Aarti. I agree with what Dilip has said about our speakers, and of course the extent of knowledge that they have got. I think we are very lucky to have these two speakers who are going to speak on legal aspect and on the other aspect, indemnity. And of course, Ruchi is my student there from the Sassoon Hospital, Vijay Medical College, and she was our associate at the time when I retired. And she will do the benefit, give the best of her as far as the intrapartum care is concerned. Yes, Aarti, to you.
So thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you, Bhalerao sir. Thank you, Varke sir. It was nice to hear from you. Now we move on to the first session, death in an institute, medico-legal implications. And to chair their sessions, I would like to call upon Dr. Meenu Agarwal and Dr. Charulata Bapaye. And Dr. Amol sir will be introducing them formally. Over to you, Amol sir. Meenu madam will be shortly joining. I just called her, so we can.
Yes, she's very much here.
I'm there.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, welcome.
So you call me and order me, I have to be there.
Over to you, Amol sir, for the formal introduction.
मीनू ये अभी एडिक्शन हो गया 4 बजे का मंगलवार.
Amol sir
did.
Yeah, sorry. So welcome to both our chairpersons for this first lecture. Dr. Meenu Agarwal madam is the Vice President elect of FOGSI, the past president of POGS. She is also the Secretary General of International Society of Gynecological Endoscopy, and she is also the editor for the Trocar Journal, which is the Journal of International Gynae Endoscopy Society. So welcome, madam. Dr. Charulata Bapaye madam is the chairperson for the breast committee of FOGSI, and she is the past clinical secretary of POGS. So welcome to Dr. Charulata madam, and over to you both for chairing the first lecture by Dr. Manish Machwe sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. Charu is also on the FIGO committee of breast, which is a very, very big achievement for our Charu Bapaye. Charu, shall I introduce Manish?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So Manish,
I will just add 1 or 2 things after you're done.
Okay. So 2 things I want to say about Manish. First of all, thank you POGS for having us as chairpersons. Thank you Vaishali for again coordinating the whole thing, as well as wish you all the best for the Vice President 2025 election year. Now this topic, which is death in any medical institute, which is a very good topic. Normally हम क्या बोलते हैं, death in a small nursing home, death in a, तो वो हम उसको separate कर देते हैं, small nursing home from a corporate hospital. For the doctor who's handling the case, whether it is a small nursing home, whether it is a big corporate hospital, I think the responsibility and the medical legal implications remain the same. And I think Manish is the right person to speak on it. Dr. Dilip Walke, who's the guest of honor for this, I think Dilip Walke and Gupte sir, they brought medical legal into the kind of attention of everyone. And now Manish and others, Meenakshi and everybody is really really taking it very well forward. So Manish, we are really looking forward to your speaking on this particular topic. He adds humor to his talks, so you don't forget, uske wo jo one liners and everything in his talk, they are unique, they are just amazing, and his sense of humor is very good, his content is very good. So he understands the legalities of the situation. He also understands the how the surgeon would feel or a doctor would feel at that point of time, and how to put attention to those psychological and emotional things which come along with the medical legal aspects. So Manish, who's been also the General Secretary of POGS, he is the President-elect POGS. He's also been the Foxy chairperson and involved in many other ways. So Manish, chair is the dais is all yours. Charu, what you want to add, you can add, and then you can start.
Yes, indeed. So I think genuinely when Dr. Sandhya said, Madam, Dr. Manish did not give his CV for his introduction. And, he just said for people, by people, of people. And I think, he described himself so aptly in that one sentence. I think all of us out here have probably connected with him one-on-one through organizations. And, we have really understood that he's a people's person. He knows how to connect not only with his patients, but also with his fellow colleagues and with his profession. So, we all have seen him grow in leaps and bounds, whether it is in the medico-legal field, whether it is in the field of laparoscopy, and whether it is as a true friend. I'm sure all of us here will be vouching, for his presence in our lives. And he has helped us in more ways than one. And Manish, we are really proud to be associated with you. POGS is proud to have you as the president-elect. And you are, a man of wonders. Your intellectual, your poetic, and so many other skills are definitely worth mentioning. And I really take pleasure in being here as the chairperson for your session. And I also am so blessed to be with Dr. Dilip Warke and Dr. Anand Bhalerao sir, and sharing screen space with them. Dr. Anand Bhalerao sirs, we are namesake surnames we have. My maiden surname was also Bhalerao, and we had a great time in Sassoon. Sir has been my teacher. Sir, thank you so much for everything, because y'all handheld us and taught us so many things. Thank you for that. Dilip has always put up beautiful photos of Meenu, myself, and Vaishali and Madhuri Kashyap in each and every talk of his, and made us feel very special every time. So over to you, Manish. I think we took up 8 into your time, but over to you.
Yeah. Anand sir though is always traveling, and we are fortunate today he's here with us.
Yes.
Okay, I'll put this thing on presentation mode. Just tell me if it is seen.
Absolutely.
Ganpati. Okay, so good evening, everybody. At the outset, I have to thank POGS President, Dr. Aarti ma'am, Dr. Meenakshi, Amol, Dr. Sandhya, and all of you for allowing me to share this present. It's a very unique day today, because when I was a JR and wanted to learn obstetrics and gynecology, it was Bhalerao sir who held my hand and taught me everything. And when I was a JR and wanted to learn medical legal, it was Walke sir who held my hand and taught me everything. So even today, when I talk about obstetrics, endoscopy, whatever, gynecology, obstetrics, there are so many things which I remember what Bhalerao sir said. And when I talk about medical legal, of course, even today in my presentation, I have some slides which I have borrowed from Walke sir, and which are so very important in clarifying so many different things. So very good to have both of them, and also to have Dr. Meenu madam and Dr. Charu madam as chairpersons. And all the best, Vaishali. I am sure that you will also have a thumping majority victory, so don't worry at all. And let us discuss few points, since it is cutting edge webinars. We have to discuss some. So when I was making this sort of program, I thought, what are the two most important things that we have to know and discuss? One is, of course, death, because then we have to logically know what is to be done. And second was indemnity insurance, because a lot of questions coming. So I thought these two were apt topics to be discussing today. So I pray to Lord Ganesha to sail me through this presentation. I don't know if is this voice coming? Can you hear what this man is saying? Is it heard? So this man is trying to speak in English, which is, a non-English thing, which means that, this is what happens when we talk about medical legal things. There are so many jargons and so many things which are put on our head by medical legal experts, section this, section that, which is, for us as medicos in our practice may not help us. So what is going to really help us is something which we are going to discuss today, and not, these sections. Again, a big salute to all my teachers. Dr. Bhalerao sir is here, and whatever I am today, I always say is blood, sweat, and tears of people from BJ and people from ILS. So thank you very much for to all of you, and thanks all of you. So dealt in a healthcare institution, of course, Minu ma'am, which means it can be a small nursing home, it can be a big nursing home. And, we have been seeing all different types of deaths. Our country is now getting together to condemn what happened in Calcutta. Even that is a death which has happened in a healthcare institution. So even that death would also follow all the legalities that we discussed. This is a common person's belief that no doctor knows everything. That is why we always say that I am practicing medicine. So I am a practicing OBGYN, I am a practicing surgeon. On a lighter note, this is what probably people think. Point number one is ignorance of law is no excuse. And this is very important. Ignorantia juris non excusat, which means not only pertaining to death, but for anything, if you are not sure about the law, it cannot be a defense that I did not know about the law. And this slide I always put to say that, if you touch the law in a wrong place, this is what happens. So do not try and touch the law in a wrong place. You have to know whatever happens. So we'll talk about death. So death can be in a recovery room, it can be in casualty, it can be first 24 hours after surgery. Today morning, I received a call about a death which happened post 24 hours, a laparoscopic cholecystectomy in Pune, where the patient had cardiomyopathy and so many different things. And of course, post-operative, post-delivery death, etc. Now, very important thing is that whenever a death happens of a person where the death is not natural, we call it unnatural death, right? So that is what everybody is now speaking about. And we speak about section 174 CRPC because it talks about investigation in the cause of an unnatural death. And unnatural death does not mean that there is negligence. So this is point number one, which everybody has to understand, that if there is death in your healthcare institution, do not think that that unnatural death is equal to negligence. So please remove that from your mind completely. What are you supposed to do? You have to inform this death to corporation. So you have to inform if there is a maternal death, there is a maternal death form which is to be filled. Now, what is important is the maternal death review form which is to be filled has nothing to do with negligence. Please, make a note of this. This could be carry home message number 2. The maternal death review form that you fill for all maternal deaths is for the government to find out delays. This is a committee which sits in the Pune Municipal Corporation for POGS, and at other places it could be the civil surgeon's office or the PCMC. That form you have to fill and submit within 24 hours. So be very sure, even if this is something which happens in corporate hospitals, because some mother is referred in HELP syndrome, etc., and gets admitted to ICU. And the ICU people do not know that they have to fill this maternal death review form, and it has to be filled within 24 hours. This form is downloadable. It is there on the net, or you can get a copy of this form and keep it Xerox at your institution. You have to maintain a register which mentions about the maternal and infant deaths, and then you have to submit everything, all the details to the executive health officer or the medical officer of health at PM. So this is very, very important. Please, everybody, take a note of this. Now, these are some of our worries. What can be done? Should I give a DC? There has been, for every question, this slide I have taken from Walke sir, and it's so relevant slide because all the discussion about death in a healthcare institution revolves around these questions. Is PM mandatory? Should I inform police? Will the police arrest me? Every question is very, very important. Will the relatives ransack my hospital? What will happen to my reputation? What happens if the case goes to the consumer court? And the indemnity policy. So these are all the different questions that we need to answer. So point number one, which we have to remember is, you have to inform the police when the cause of death is not known. So please do not. This is another take-home message. So many gynecologists, obstetricians will write amniotic fluid embolism for a female who dies of PPH or for a sudden death. And there have been instances where after taking the death certificate, the relatives have taken the body to the police station and they made a complaint and the police have taken the body for postmortem. So That is what we were discussing in today morning's case, which was post-cholecystectomy death. And I was talking to the cardiologist that if you are sure that this is cardiomyopathy, pulmonary edema, etc., and congestive cardiac failure in that particular man, then only you give cause of death. So if you know the cause of death, of course, you should give a death certificate, no problem. But if the cause of death is not known, and especially if it is related to an abortion, which is an MTP, or a death which happens on the operation theater or within 24 hours, or it is because of a medical procedure, or because of accidents, road traffic accidents, violence. If there is a death because of tubal sterilization, so on-table death where you are planning to do a tubectomy, and if there is or there could be an allegation of medical mismanagement, in all these situations, carry home messages, you please call the police. How do you call the police? Dial 100 or 101. Tell them that this is an emergency and one of them will come, and then due course of things will happen, which I'll tell you. So interaction with police. Now the police comes, what are you supposed to do and what are you supposed to? The police is going to do a panchanama, which means the police is going to see where the body is lying, what has happened to the body, which also means that you have to save all the medicines that you have given to the patient. If you have put an endotracheal tube, you save that endotracheal tube. See that everything is kept ready for the police to do the panchanama. Now issue about papers. This is again carry home message. Now once you hand over the body to the police are going to ask you, you do not know the cause of death? No. Which means that the police will now do a medical legal case. So once you hand over the body, it is the responsibility of the police. You have to take in writing on your letterhead that handed over this body of so and so, age so and so, to the police, and the police will give a signature acknowledgement that they have accepted the body. Now once the police have accepted the body, they do a medical legal case, and it is their responsibility to send the body for postmortem. So you discussing with the relatives that we give in writing that we don't have any problem against the hospital, etc., has no meaning, because you do not know the cause of death and you want to find out the cause of death. So hence the police are now required to do a postmortem. Now for the purposes of postmortem, the person who's doing the postmortem has to know some basics about the patient. So you can give a sort of case summary, which you can write down on your letterhead and give. Police will insist about papers, tell them the papers are incomplete. Now please understand that if the MLC is made or a complaint is made, the police can ask you for case papers, for which they give you a notice in writing. Please take the notice in writing. This lot of people do not know. If the police say give us case papers and you give the case papers, later on if the case stands, there could be allegation against you that after calling you 10 times you did not give the case paper. So always take it in writing. It is under section 91 of CRPC that the police will ask for papers. And once you sign that notice, you have 72 hours according to the Medical Council of India Conduct Ethics and Etiquettes 2002 regulations that you can give the paper. So you have those 72 hours to complete the case paper properly and then hand over the papers. Generally, the police will not insist, but if the police are insisting, you can give writing there that these papers are incomplete. We are giving the papers under protest, and it is only because of the pressure which the police have put on us for giving the papers, and take the signature of the police. If you tell this to the police, generally they say, okay, you take your time, we are not going to sign any such document. So that is one trick which can be used to tell them and show them that you have 72 hours to submit the paper. Of course, this is not the way you are going to face any of the relatives, or there are some doctors I know who start crying, etc. Please do not do all this. All this is not required, neither it is needed. Again, this is something which Dilip sir had made and used long time back, these 10 commandments, which are very, very good. They even stand true today to the test of time. This is point number 1, which I already told you, that death per se does not mean negligence. It is an unnatural death, cause of which has to be investigated. Res ipsa loquitur means that the thing speaks for itself, and this principle is not applied at all. So things speaks for itself means the burden of proof. Now, in case there is a case, generally the burden of proof is always on the person who accuses the other person, which means if there is a case of negligence against a doctor, it is the patient who has to prove all the allegations that the patient has made. But in certain situation where res ipsa loquitur is applied, the burden of proving things shifts on the defendant or shifts on the doctor. That is what is res ipsa loquitur. And these are some of the acts where, it is very difficult to give a defense. Although defense can be given, but it is difficult. So surgery without consent, surgery on wrong patient or wrong organ, leaving a mop or instrument inside, which is the technical term for which is gossypiboma, transfusing wrong blood, and performing criminal abortion, which means that res ipsa loquitur will be applied here, and the burden of proving that this was not happening is then shifted to the doctor or to the defense. Of course, the cause of action, if the patient wants to complain at this stage when the death has occurred, can be civil court, consumer court, can be police, can be magistrate, and so many others. Please remember that the police will not register an FIR unless they get a opinion done through the civil surgeon or the government medical college. So keep that very clearly in mind, that at this point in time when you are handing over the body to the police and they are making an MLC, there is no FIR, there is no arrest, right? So this we can skip. Point number 2, always call for help. These senior people who will come, your own colleagues, there is a rush team which we have started in Pune during the presidency of Dr. Parag Biniwale sir. And you should call all of them, and you should have a plan of how to, break the bad news. Even this communication thing is very, very important, and one has to learn. Of course, rush team will definitely have some people. I have been as a part of the rush team. Sometimes when I go there, I know few people know me, and things get diffused. This is particularly if the mob is getting collected outside there, where this rush team will definitely help to avoid any vandalism, etc. in the hospital. Always listen to good advice. The problems about rush team are people are reluctant, but I think this slide today does not hold true, because today we all know that we all help each other. We go as a rush team member to help our members, because we all understand that at one point in time, somewhere along the line during practice, we could also be at the receiving end. Of course, resuscitation and all, emergency box, set protocols you follow, all these things again we are doing, because most of our hospitals, even my hospital, is NABH accredited. So we keep on doing all those drills, we keep on doing all those even fire alarm and everything, including drugs and everything. We keep on doing this. Now, if you have to shift the patient, 2-3 things about shifting. Important thing is you have to stabilize the patient and shift. When you are shifting, shift in an ambulance which is equipped for CPR, along with a person in the ambulance who is also equipped with CPR. Now, what happens is, nowadays, if you call the ambulances, they already have their intensivists on the in the ambulance along with the patient. So we are all good, right? So consent to shift, of course, you need to take a consent to shift, but in case it's a dire emergency, in all emergencies, that is again a very important message. Forget about any law. Try and help the patient first, and then all the laws will become applicable. Should we transfer a dead patient to ICU? No, we should not do it. Probably somebody did it. So now this has started coming in Bollywood movies where a dead patient is shifted to ICU, etc. Nobody does this. Please do not do it. Not required. Only thing what you can do is you can keep the resuscitation going on till the rush team comes. So in order to avoid vandalism, in order to avoid any such things happening in the hospital, so to buy time, you continue resuscitation, but do not shift a dead patient to ICU. Never do that. Of course, you discuss with your own staff. Communication is something which you have to learn. Everybody has to learn. It is not something which comes from birth. So you can always have some staff who are good in communication. But with the relatives, my suggestion is always the consultant in charge or the senior most person should talk. Why do these postgraduates and why do these interns get beaten up when somebody dies? Because their communication skills are lacking. So this is very, very important for us to learn. So discuss with your staff what has happened, why it has happened. And of course, you see to it that your staff, in a way, learn to communicate things better with the patients or the relatives, especially when you are not there. But as far as the discussion about the death or discussion about the reasons of death goes, then that should be done by the senior most person. Again, when the police will come for Panchanama, this is not how the photographs, etc. should be. I understand that there's so much of blood loss, as you can see here, but it goes adversely in the courts of law because nobody understands that we were doing so much for the patient, still she bled. So this is just one example. So check your OT equipment, save the used material. This important point here is to do it recurrently. That is why, things like Manyata, things like NABH, they will help you because therein you have to recurrently check everything. There should be so in my hospital, for example, there is a circle, drawn, who will do what on Mondays, who will do what on Tuesdays. So everything is recurrently checked, whether the patient is operated, then what happens to the disposable. So everything, somebody is in charge of that particular thing, and it runs in circles, and that is the way, you have to plan and do things. Papers, of course, as I already said, you have 72 hours to submit the papers, but you have to be very clear in what you write. So for example, I was correcting the case papers for a death which had occurred last week in one of our corporate hospitals, and I found out that nausea vomiting as complaint for that patient who was a patient of pancreatitis. No nausea vomiting at two places at the same time. And at a third place, somebody is writing a notes of severe nausea vomiting and advising PAN and MSET, etc. So which means these are contradictory notes. Now, somebody who has pancreatitis will have pain and nausea vomiting. So somebody has not written the correct note. So this is something which is very important. So whenever you have to submit your case papers to the police, or if you are submitting your case papers to the relatives, it is always good to have a medical legal consultation. Let somebody senior, somebody who understands the case paper, go through the case paper. Small things are missing. In a case of cesarean section death, I was amazed to see that the signature of the patient only was missing, and the signature of the patient's husband and relatives was taken, and the patient's signature was not taken. And this was a cesarean section, intrapartum, intra-cesarean section. She had PPH, obstetric hysterectomy, and death. Now, when the cesarean section was started, it was an elective cesarean section. So they should have taken at least the consent signature. For consent wise, we all now know that fantastic work done by Varke sir and Nikhil Datar and Foxy and everybody, that we have uniform consent. So please use. So contradictory notes should not be. Another very important point is never ever give the original case papers to anybody. Original case papers stay with you. Anybody who wants the case paper, you have to number the case paper, hand over a Xerox copy, and take an acknowledgement that you have given the case paper to so-and-so person on so-and-so date. Original case papers do not give, because if something happens to the original case papers in the police custody or wherever, it becomes a very big problem. You have to keep the case papers properly, because in case there is a case which stands in court, you have to collect and take the original case papers to the court. Of course, chronologically, handwritten, check notes carefully, check consents, notes matching, which I already told you. Now, this is about communication with the relatives. Again, I told you, communication is very important. You need to learn it. You have to inform the condition from time to time. Of course, this is somebody who is good at communication. That is why I said, because if from your staff, because you are managing the patient every time, you cannot go and communicate. Be polite, sympathetic. Be prepared for a hostile reaction. Do not lose patience. Do not blame each other. Do not keep on shouting at each other if 2-3 consultants are there in front of relatives and patients. Now, death certificate, I have already told you, if you exactly know the cause of death, you can give the death certificate. If you do not know the cause of death, then hand over the body to police. They'll do an MLC and take the body for postmortem. Right? If you talk to the relatives, tell them that it is the responsibility of police to take the body for postmortem, and you do not have cause of death. Right? Do not take this thing in writing from the relatives that we do not have any problem against the hospitals. You give any cause of death and we are okay. Never ever do that. If you give DC, I said, if you know the cause of death, sure, but please be safe. So my suggestion is that if you are 200% sure about the cause of death, then only give death certificate. Otherwise, you hand over the body to the police and send for postmortem. Now, what do the police do after that? Very important. So the police will, send a body for postmortem, collect the postmortem reports. They will collect the case papers, Xerox of the case papers from you. They may call you for a deposition, which we call in Marathi as Jawab, where they want to, in simple language, understand what had happened. And this is again under section 162 to 164 CRPC. You can get a copy of whatever you have given as a Jawab to the police or deposition to the police. And then they will send all this along with a questionnaire to either the government committee or to civil surgeon. Now, I told you there is one maternal death review committee which sits at corporation. That is a different thing for which you have to fill that form. And they will review whether there was a delay in that mother or the relatives understanding what she's having, delay in coming to the nearest hospital because of roads problem or rain problem. and delay in getting doctors. So that is the recommendatory committee which gives recommendations to the state government so as to reduce the maternal mortality. Now, this committee, which sits at Sassoon Hospital in Pune, which is Government Medical College, all civil surgeon, is a different committee. This is the committee which will decide about the cause of death, what led to the cause of death, was the treatment given appropriately, could this death be prevented, or if there's an act of commission or omission, and very important, if there is gross negligence on the part of doctor. This word gross is very important because only if there's gross negligence on the part of doctor does a police case, stand and the police will do an FIR. So this is what I've told you. So if the report of that committee comes as gross negligence, then only police will register an FIR, and that also under 304A section. Now I know Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita is coming. Lot of sections are changing. Maybe once we'll have a discussion on that. There are a lot of sections which are not very good for medical practitioner. They're absolutely very dangerous for medical practitioners. So we'll go through it sometime else. As on today, IPC stands. So we are talking about IPC. So 304A is applicable, which is a cognizable offense, which means doctor may be arrested, but it is a bailable offense, which means you get bail easily and you go home. Then what happens is the police will collect all the evidence and make a charge sheet, and then the case will start in the criminal court. So all this takes a long time, It is not like, having a delivery which happens very fast like this.
En vérité, la naissance a été très, très rapide et très facile.
So this is not something which happens with respect to these cases. So even if the case goes to consumer court, the court with its own, idea or knowledge will send the case to Sassoon, or we always as defense lawyers say that this is a case which entails a lot of medical issues. So we will take a independent opinion from the state government medical college or the civil surgeon's office. So there are a lot of these judgments, which tell the court or which have guided all the courts which have come from Supreme Court as to how to investigate if there is a police case for negligence against a doctor or a criminal case. So it says that, private complaint may not be entertained unless there is a prima facie evidence before the court or a credible opinion given by another doctor. In this case, they will also send independent and competent medical opinion to be obtained from doctor in government service qualified in that branch, which means it will go to the dean or the superintendent of Sassoon. They will, I think Monday and Thursday, their committee meets. Now almost 8.5, 9 years of my law practice, I have not seen them giving any gross negligence because our papers are good, our doctors are good. Whatever they do with a good intent of saving life. So their report is very, very important, and only gross negligence report will, make the doctor liable for 304A. Of course, I told you 304A is bailable, so which means that you get a bail as a right. So nobody is arrested and nobody goes to jail. And this is another principle which is followed in all the consumer court, which is called the Bolam test, which came from a very old case of Bolam versus Fryan Hospital, which says that all the doctors, they have to have a skill which is an ordinary skill, which means, as an example, if I am a doctor who's, say, practicing in Guwahati, or I am practicing in Chennai, or I am practicing in some district of Bihar, and I have a PPH case where I do not know how to do an internal iliac ligation, I can very well do an obstetric hysterectomy and save the life. Because internal iliac ligation is something which is an extraordinary skill. It may not be there. Ordinary skill is to save the life of the lady by doing an obstetric hysterectomy. And that is all that is expected. So ordinary skilled man, ordinary skill is something which is expected, not super skill. So that is, this Bolam test is very good, which we always utilize in giving defenses in consumer court. Of course, that the trial will run in different courts, whether it is consumer or civil court. See, there are different fora where the patient can complain. Civil court is there, consumer court is there, police is there, where there's criminal court, Indian Medical Association Disciplinary Committee, Maharashtra Medical Council Disciplinary Committee, State Human Rights Commission, National Human Rights Commission, and now Lok Adalat. So there are a lot of this happening now. The new Consumer Protection Act also has a section where you can sort of settle the things outside the court. So ADR are now coming up, Lok Adalats and the Consumer Protection Act, giving us alternate dispute redressal systems where conciliation from both sides parties can happen, and the case may. And for as a take home, I would suggest that never do that. because that means you are accepting your negligence, right? So we never go for conciliation. We never go for, unless there is really a gross negligence from the part of the doctor. So generally we never do that. And all this trial and everything takes years and years to go. So a single case, doesn't get over very fast. So friends, remember, you have to document everything. You have to have your emergency boxes ready. I think those drills which are very important, if there is a death or if there's a code blue, what will you do? Follow all the codes. And you have to have all the emergency drugs. Rush team is very important. Police information is very important. Do not shy away. Take collective responsibility, and professional indemnity, very, very important. Although it does not have, it does not protect you for your criminal offenses, but for civil offenses, consumers, it does. So that is why, because it's so very important topic, I hope Meenakshi madam will now discuss that in detail. Of course, follow all protocols, learn to communicate. This is very, very important, how to communicate with the patients. I know you are tired. I know you have a headache. You are scared, but you have to avoid arrogance, anger, argument. And you have to have a very good communication skills to come out of it. Communication skills are good, then I think a lot of litigations can be prevented. So we need to think, and everybody has to think very hard, because as I always say, behind every successful man, there is a woman. Behind an extremely successful man, there are two women. So Kashibai and Mastani, behind our own Bajirao from Pune, we have to, say that. And behind every litigation or behind every problem that a doctor faces, now what we see is there is another doctor. Somebody has instigated that patient. Somebody has told that this treatment is not ready. This treatment is not correct. So we have to be very careful when we speak about our colleagues, and this is something which you have to put, as everybody has sonography machine, so you put that sonography machine rules board in your OPD. Please make a board of this and put on the OPD. It's a Prohibition and Prevention of Violence Act, where there could be 3 years imprisonment, 50,000 rupees fine, and compensation twice the amount of damage caused, so that the patients and people coming would understand that vandalism is absolutely a no-no. You can always go and discuss, but this is something which I think all of us should be putting in our OPDs, making a big 4x4 board. So at the end of it, we are still in India, where a lot of our patients do forgive us for small things which go wrong. And as compared to other countries where there are attorneys who learn their living or earn their living only by, having this go at doctors in so many different places. So thank you so much. I hope I have just told you a few points which will help you have a safe and litigation-free practice. Other than the issue of all the things which I told you, I would again reiterate before I say thanks again, that whenever you speak about your own colleague in front of others, be very careful and mind your words, and that will go in a long way of preventing litigations or whatever happens. Thank you so much for a patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish.
thank you.
Very informative lecture. And I was not knowing that the papers you have to give the police within 48 hours, not
72
immediately. 72 hours, not immediately.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello.
Sir.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Bhalera.
Actually, I just wanted to stress a couple of cases just in one line. I see whatever point Manish has mentioned about our own behavior. First, we have to be extremely careful, and we have to have a lot of patience, because there are two cases. I remember once spinal anesthesia was given and patient collapsed there and there itself, and then that anesthetist tried her level best to save the patient, but the surgeon came, obstetrician came, and he just shrugged off his shoulders and he said that I have not done anything to the patient. I have patient so far. So all it is responsibility of the anesthetist. So what happened later is that the relatives filed against not anesthetist, but against the obstetrician and gynecologist. So this behavior at the time when the complication occurs or the death occurs is very important. And second case, which I remember very distinctly, again, that person is known to all of us, that patient had a death following one injection. Doctor was not here, he was in USA. But since the behavior of the doctor with the nearby people, especially with the politicians, was not very good, he was arrogant. So he was arrested, though he was in US, and the case died, but he refused to take the responsibility. So point I'm trying to stress here is that our behavior is very important with the patients and with the relatives. Whatever happens, you have to have a very, very sweet tongue, something which we call as, ice on the head and sugar on the tongue. This is something which we have to follow. Yes, ma'am.
Manisha, just for the information of many of the delegates here, because it was Kiran and I think Nilesh Balkavade who just about last week met the Commissioner of Police of Pune. And now what he has done is instead of calling 100 or 101, he says call 112. The moment you call 112, it is GPS recorded, and it is upon them to reach that place within 15 minutes. So now when you are thinking that there could be a mob violence in your hospital, we can start ringing up 112. And the commissioner, now I don't remember his name, Kiran knows it. He's so good that what he has said is all the local police officers are supposed to form a WhatsApp group of the nursing home owners or the contact person of all the hospitals and nursing homes in his area, and they're supposed to have a WhatsApp group. The way we talk about a quick response team, similarly a WhatsApp group. So this is what I think our POJS members are doing for us. Kiran and Nilesh has done for us, and I appreciate the efforts that Kiran and Nilesh has done. And from now on, maybe we'll try and ring up 112. So I thought this was important. Everybody in Pune should know this.
Sir, our local police station, they have taken all our phone numbers. The call had come on my number, to make sure that this is my number, because they said we'll have all your numbers here. So first step is over, I think. In Kothur, at least, they have taken everybody.
Not in Aund yet. So the word has to spread. So there'll be several WhatsApp groups in the several local areas all around Pune. And that's how we'll be connected with the police officers. And you start sending good morning messages even to the police officers now. Develop a good relationship with the local people.
That is one very important point on the agenda, sir, for our next year, that we are going to see that most of our members know most of the police whom they are concerned with. So that is one and then we'll continue this over, the next few years till the time all these things become a routine. That I have a plan for that.
And another thing, maybe this may not help. It may not help us, but it definitely helps the police. What happens is, all these years we have been telling all our delegates whenever we give any talk that taking in writing from the relative that आम्हाला या डॉक्टरांबद्दल या hospital बद्दल काहीच तक्रार नाही वगैरे is not good, and it doesn't help. But I think if it may not help you, but it may help the police who is trying to not send this body for a medico-legal PM. So the police in the court later on can say that बघा आम्हाला तर काही suspicion नव्हतंच आणि even relatives ना काही suspicion नव्हतं. So this idea that we used to do this jugaad kind of a thing that we used to do in the good old days, and then we medical legal experts were the culprit in telling people that हे करके कुछ फायदा नहीं. But now I say that ये करो. This helps in the court of law later on. It may not help you, but it may help the police officer who may have accepted our death certificate and our cause of death, and the body got cremated. So I thought that was one point that we have to understand now and start taking that in writing from the police. Take it and keep it in your. It may not do good, but it is not going to do any harm also.
So what happens is now in 2-3 cases, what I have seen is when the doctor has declared that we do not have a cause of death, etc., then the police take it in writing from the relatives ki amchi kai takrar nahi. And because now the police is taking in writing, it holds a little bit more water than we taking in writing. Again, for that is why for these kind of things, if you know your local police well, things really fall in place.
म्हणजे आपल्याला cause of death माहित असेल तर बिंदास द्या. आणि ऑफ द डायस मनीष मी कधी कधी हे हँडल पण केलंय. कॉज ऑफ डेथ माहित नसेल तरी असा द्या की नंतर तो तुम्ही कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ मध्ये डिफेंड करू शकता, म्हणजे अवॉइड द सिच्युएशन. बट त्यावेळेला अलॉंग विथ दॅट टेक इट इन रायटिंग फ्रॉम द रिलेटिव्स दॅट वी हॅव नथिंग अगेन्स्ट द डॉक्टर. दॅट हेल्प्स द पोलीस ऑफिसर, मे बी नॉट यू, but the police officer will be protected there. कारण पोलीस ऑफिसरना प्रश्न विचारले जातात की तुम्हाला हे डेथ ऑन टेबल झालं, डॉक्टरांनी कॉज ऑफ डेथ दिलं, पण तुम्हाला ह्याच्यात काही शंका नव्हती का? पोलीस ऑफिसरला विचारतात जजेस.
हो.
तर पोलीस ऑफिसर कॅन ऑलवेज से मला शंका नव्हती आणि नातेवाईकांना पण शंका नव्हती. सो इट्स ऑलवेज बेटर टू टेक दॅट.
Okay.
Fantastic discussion on the
Yeah.
part of Manish.
नाही, आम्ही दोघं जर बोलायला लागलो ना, इट कॅन
Anand,
गो ऑन
I
फॉर
know.
2 hours. So आपण आता आय थिंक
So I think the main take-home message is any problem in the hospital, call Dr. Manish Matre, and hopefully he's not tackling some PPH somewhere. He'll definitely come to your help. Thank you so much, Manish. Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. I don't know who have this higher authority पहुंच जिसको बोलते हैं. मेडिकल कॉलेज में there should be a session, there should be a topic, how to counsel the patient, how to talk to the patient. You know, like in RCOG, how to break the bad news. All these should be taught to the medical students. So that is very, very, very important, I think. So that will prevent a lot of violence against the doctors that has been happening, because they don't know how to break the bad news. So that is one thing I think, and that will help even later date. Manish continuously he spoke about communication, which is very, very important. It should be taught in the medical colleges. That is what I would feel.
Ma'am, now they
Excellent
do.
talk and discussion.
Thank you,
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Now they do. So there is a EdCom course for first MBBS students. And in first MBBS, it's a 2 or 3 months EdCom modules course, which is being taught. And then there are practical sessions on it about breaking bad news and facing a mob. And so now they are learning. So for example, my daughter had this subject in first MBBS itself, EdCom. There are some 8 or 9 modules, and they are fantastic modules. In fact, what we should do now is we should propagate these modules for our members. कारण मुलांचं शिकून होतंय आता फर्स्ट MBBS ला, आपणच नाही शिकलोय. So we should propagate these modules, EdCom modules, and they are very good.
Yeah, can I add, Manish? You know, when
Yes,
I
ma'am.
was working as consultant at Skill Lab, that was on Civil Hospital, for the trainings of the medical officers and government staff, basically for nurses as well as the doctors, I was given the task of making a module for a communication skill, and that was taught to them. You know, so I don't know what is the status now. So it's worth for everyone. Whoever is practicing should definitely learn that skill. Yeah.
Can we put it on the POGS website, Meenakshi, these
We'll put, ma'am.
modules?
Yeah.
EdCom modules will
We'll
put,
try.
ma'am. They are available for
Yeah.
free download on the net. So we will put all those modules.
Yeah, sure.
Very
Manish,
good.
if you can send it to me, na, I'll say,
Yeah,
put it
I'll
in the POGS. We will make a separate, window on the website. All are regarding medical
Link-
legal for our
link
POGS
टाकली ना,
members.
इथे link टाकली ना. आणि
It will
first
go on in
MBBS
your
students
year
it's
also,
a compulsory. It's a
हा.
compulsory subject for
हा.
first MBBS.
नाही का चांगलं होईल ते.
लाईट चालली, गाडी चालली, दुसऱ्या याच्यात आपण
Hello. Yeah. So I think the discussion will go on and on because the medical legal topic is very close to everyone's heart. But now we move on to the next session, talk by Dr. Meenakshi. And for her talk, I would like to introduce our two esteemed chairpersons. Our first chairperson is Dr. Vaijayanti Patwardhan. She's a senior gynecologist, public health researcher, marriage and relationship counselor. District and Corporation, state and national level trainer for maternal child health, family planning, prevention of sexual harassment at workplace act and POSCO training. And she is a member of POSH internal committee for SRBF in Pavilion Mall. Welcome.
Yeah, even I can't hear. Sandhya. तुला introduce करणार आहे.
Yeah, Sandhya, there is no voice.
Echo येतो.
There is some audio problem. Just check.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you're audible. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I had some problem outside that Dahi Handi celebrations have started, so probably. So I would request Vaijayanti ma'am to formally introduce Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande.
Yeah, thank you, Sandhya. It's indeed a great pleasure to chair the session on during this very prestigious webinar, I would say, because law and medicine is inevitable part of everybody's medical practice today. And that too, I'm chairing the session for my good friend, Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande, who is the dynamic secretary of POGS and has been my colleague at IMA also for last many years. So just to introduce her formally, she is basically a postgraduate in obstetric and gynecology from BJ Medical College, and she is practicing as high-risk pregnancy consultant in the very own city of Pune for last 30 years. She's the director of Vatsalya Hospital, Siagat Road, and also a consultant at Krishna Hospital, I think at panel consultant at Dinanath Mangeshwar Hospital also. She has recently completed her LLB, and it's a very proud moment for all of us because LLB being a challenging course, I would say, and she has successfully completed that with flying colors. Apart from her academic achievements, she's a member of SGS Authorization Committee for Organ Donation and has been very active at IMA also, as well as FOXI. She's a recipient of many awards. To name a few, IMA Headquarter Kanak Goyal Award, some National and Maharashtra State President's Appreciation Award, and Apulki Award, and many social awards. So today we have very dynamic who will be talking about
Thank you. Vaijayanti, thank you. Yes. I will go on with the
Thank you, Vaijayanti. And at the outset, I would like to thank all the faculties and all the stalwart POGS presidents who have joined, past POGS presidents, Dr. Anand Bhalera sir, Dr. Dilip Warke, and Dr. Meenu Agarwal. So, and all the Dr. Vaishali Tavan and Dr. Charu Bapai, Dr. And all of them, we are all of POGS family, and I really would like to share that we are really going in forward in the whole of India, and POGS is spreading its wings nationally as well as internationally everywhere. So, with those words, now I will start my talk. I'd like to share my screen. Just
hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. So, thank you, Manish, for giving me this talk, because I think you must have heard it, because I'm giving these talks already for a lot of doctors in the certificate courses.
Your voice is echoing. Do you have two mobile and laptop as well?
Now we'll close one.
Yeah, then that.
Now still the echo is there?
Now gone.
No.
Now it's okay?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, indemnity is, the need of the day for our all fraternity. And with the salutations to God of wisdom, I would like to start this talk with the words that prevention is better than the later on whatever control or whatever management we will be doing. So this indemnity is a part of prevention. And as you all know that we are a fraternity, gynecologists are a fraternity where we focus on the preventive aspect of each and every disease. Now, basically, 1 or 2 slides on what is insurance. Insurance is a risk coverage. So, risk can occur to anybody, anywhere, and on that risk coverage itself, these insurance companies work. So, everybody of us know kitna risk hai sabke life mein. So, whatever life may risk hai, similar risk we have for the professional also. Whatever you practice, whatever you do, even if you are doing good for the patient, there is always a risk, inbuilt risk in whatever good you are doing. And with all such, insurances which we require, we also have other risk factors in our professional indemnity, saying ki what we are doing always carries an inherent risk of accidents or errors or mismanagements. And then one should also understand the difference between the life insurance and the non-life insurance. What is a life insurance? Life insurance is a completely different set of understanding. It is a term, it is not a term insurance. I mean, people get money return if the person does not die. But non-life insurances are not like that. They require stringent renewal. And if there is a no claim, even if no claim arises for the full year, there are no returns. So this is the basis of this insurance. And this comes under the Indian Contract Act 1865, which is a contingent act. And in case of special occurrence, this contract is based on uberi fedi, that is utmost faith. What does an insurer has to do? Insurer has to fill a proposal form disclosing all the facts about his objectives. He has to protect the interest of the insured doctor. He has to arrange, conduct, and pay for defense. He has to indemnify against his professional neglect and misconduct. And whenever you fill that form, remember to keep a Xerox of that form with you, because you have to remember what you have claimed or what you have put in that form for years together afterwards whenever you practice. So the insured pays a consideration known as a premium, and in return of that premium, he gets a coverage of certain amount of allegation and the cost of litigation. And so you must have this Xerox of the form which you have filled initially in your hand. So these broad categories of insurances are always, Mediclaim and medical indemnity. So Mediclaim, the basic differentiation is Mediclaim is for your health, whereas indemnity is for your professional misconduct or medical negligence. Hospital and error and omission policy is again a different type of insurance coverage, which covers the errors and omissions of various categories of staff employees by a hospital, including the medical doctors whom you have employed. So Mediclaim is different, medical indemnity is different, hospital error and omission policy is different. And then there are some companies which are offering you a comprehensive policy, which covers, property, fires, riots, thefts, and various other perils in addition to this. So what is medical indemnity insurance and what you must look for in medical indemnity insurance when you are taking it? For us doctors, they are of two types. Either they can be an individual or it can be an hospital-based medical indemnity. So all these aims and objectives of both are similar, but professional indemnity is an insurance plan to financially safeguard RMPs against legal costs and claims for compensation by patients in case of a legal row, that is any legal problems. But remember, this is only for civil liability. Criminal liabilities will not be covered under this professional indemnity. Only legal assistance can be given, but the costs are not covered if there is any criminal charges against you. So what the professional indemnity insurance covers, it covers all the defense cost, the court attendance, the obligation to defend you against such claims. The insurance company is entitled to do all these things. Plus, the period of insurance is exactly 12 months from the date when it has started. Sometimes the extended reporting days may go on beyond 90 days after that, but the indemnity policy remember, is from the time when you start till the time you end. So it must be uninterrupted. So there should be no gap between the first policy and the renewal of in the year. So policy through the professional bodies may turn cheaper, but it must be remembered that professional indemnity thoda lenge to kuch fayda nahi hai. You have to take a cover of 50 lakhs to 1 crore, and any company can give you that with many riders, and that riders you have to take into consideration when you select a company which is giving you what. So an omission policy of 2 crores have to be added if you are got a separate hospital also management. So one, you are a practicing doctor, so indemnity is for you. And if you are practicing with a hospital, then hospital coverage has to be a separate policy, and your policy will not cover hospital errors. So you must remember that you and the hospitals have separate indemnity insurances? Yeah, answer is yes. Where can the unqualified assistance be covered? Answer is yes, but you have to pay a premium of 7.5% extra. You must remember that there are riders to pay on the indemnity insurance. So check out on your insurance policy and coverage details, and also look for the qualification. So if it is a cross-pathy or cross-speciality which you are practicing, your this may not be covered. Remember, the insurance agents and the insurance companies sitting beyond are trying to find the faults in whatever claims you are giving. So you have to be perfect, fill the form, and you have to be perfect in whatever form you have filled up. Similar kind of practice you are doing for the next years. So that is how you should keep your insurance policy and coverage details complementary to each other. Also remember that AOA is any one accident. So suppose an insurance company person agent comes to you saying, "Main aapko kam paise mein deta hu." You have to take 1:4. I'll give you for 1:4, but you take for uske bajaye I'll give you for the lesser charges. Will you take it? The answer is no. Why? Because 1:4 means only 5% of the claim can be benefited. Means you will not get a claim for full amount. Say you have got a case for 1 crore rupees. Some patient has put an allegation, the patient gets along with the case, and you are fined 1 crore rupees. If it is 1:4, will you be paid 1 crore rupees by the insurance company? The answer is no. It will be paid 25 lakhs. Because you have taken the scheme of 1:4. So always choose 1:1. Because 1:1 means that you are taking full claim of a case. You are not taking 1/4. So even if you give a proper costing to the insurance premium, always take 1:1 coverage, means 100% for one claim. AOA is 1:1, and AOY is any one incidence in a year. So again, if you claim, if your insurance claim, indemnity claim is for, policy is for 1 crore, and the claim is for 1 crore, and if you take 1:4 or 1:3, will you get full 1 crore? Again, the answer is no. You have to take 1:1, then only you will get the full claim. So AOY to AOA ratio should be 1:1. So that is the most important aspect which you must remember. You can have the option of having the cover in different ratios, but 1:1 is a good practice for a careful, diligent doctor. Don't go for anything lesser than 1:1, although the premium for other insurances will be lesser, and that will be, they will be showing you a candy for that we are giving you a premium, a lesser premium. Insurance will cover all independent claims within insured limits, any one accident and any one in a year. What else to look for? When some company is giving you something extra, will you be happy or will you be not? So that is, from this point of view, points you must look at this. Cover for the defense costs for criminal cases for medical accidents. That is, normally professional indemnity does not cover criminal liabilities or criminal cases. But there are certain companies who can cover the criminal defense costs only because of medical accidents. Sometimes some companies are covering COVID-19 cover for medical negligence during that period. Remember, COVID has gone 2 or 3 years back, but the cases can still arise of negligence. The allegations can come up, and all these some companies are giving you a cover for that COVID-19 events. Some companies may be giving you senior doctor panel consultation. Then the loss of documents cover, that is, sometimes the documents are lost, and even then that coverage may be given by the company. Defamation policy covers, out of court settlement, run-off cover. Run-off cover means after you stop the practice, the people can be putting you cases against you for 3 years. You know, the duration for which a case can be put is 2 years after the event has occurred, or 2 years after the person comes to realize that something wrong has happened. So that is called as run-off cover, and there are certain companies who are giving you run-off cover. Then there's a dishonesty professional cover. If a doctor wishes to file in higher court, as you all know now, the CPA, if you want to file in a higher court, you have to fill in 50% of the costs which are levied upon you. Cost means claims which are levied upon you. So 50% of that claim you have to fill as your basic cost. And that certain companies are paying. So higher appeal can be possible if a company can help you pay that costing for the higher appeal. Certain companies are giving multiple cases can covered up to sum assured. Some companies are covering misdiagnosis, errors or omissions, negligence in surgical procedures, error in medicine dosage, defending in the court, and all these aspects have to be covered by the professional indemnity cover company. Of course, covering qualified and unqualified staff is there with extra premium, and cashless claim settlement, pre-litigation cost of the lawyers, consultation and documentations. All these costs also have to be covered in that claim settlement. So how will you proceed? Suppose you have got a mishap in your hospital and you know that this person may put a case against you, and you have been covered by a professional indemnity. So what is the first thing you will do is you have to inform that insurer stat. You have to inform the insurer in a legal way. That is, you have to make a letter, put an email, or get it stamped and dated. If you send a letter, get it stamped and get it dated. Because if the company says that I have not been informed of this mishap in time, they can reject your claim. So the first thing is inform the insurer and take a office copy, like how you do it for any other official matter. So then only the claims made, policy and known circumstances are the underlying principles, and then only the retroactive date will be helping you even if the case arises later. Also, pertaining year's premium should be used and current may remain for the next case if needed. So what are the schedules of the rates? Now, normal rates are about 1,000 rupees AOI. Physicians may be without dispensing and other facilities. There may be a diagnostic center. Surgeons and operatives, anesthetists are getting more. They should be having a more premium coverage. 10% additional premium for each facility, like dispensing, pathology, sonography, radiology, etc. In many companies are giving you group insurances. So insure for minimum 50 lakhs to 1 crore and 2 crores for the hospital. That is what we are advising presently. And depending upon your number of OPD patients, the number of unqualified staff you are having, the number of visiting consultants you are having, the policy amount changes. The riders keep on changing. So again, one must also know what are the exclusions of this policy. Now, any professional indemnity will not cover criminal cases, fines under them, doctor operating under intoxication, under influence of alcohol, drugs, and if it gets proved, the whole claim can get cancelled. HIV affected persons' treatments are not covered under professional indemnity. Third party public liability is not covered. Tribunals, medical councils, RTIs are not covered. Cosmetic surgeries and weight loss procedures, bariatric surgeries are not covered till now. Liabilities assumed by insured by agreement. Defamation, slander, libel, false arrest, and all such things are not covered by professional indemnity. Exclusions which are continued is deliberate or willful non-compliance of the doctor, loss of goodwill, loss of all insurgency and natural disasters, ionizing radiations, false certificates. So if any certification which you have given turns out to be false later on, the whole claim of delegation can get cancelled. And yes, abetting suicide. Any indication that a person or a doctor is helping for a suicide, that is not going to help you at all. Divorce suits as co-defendants also will not be allowed for professional indemnity cover. And of course, illegal, unethical practice, whatever is done is not being covered by the professional indemnity. So there are many tailor-made policies. You just have to tick the policies. What is the important for you, you have to take into being consideration. And many claims are settled in Pune in recently. Of course, the number is on the rise. Out of court settlement is not the preferred mode, but if possible, you should do it. Claims are settled only if it is proved. So company or the insured may cancel the policy sometimes and will refund the pro rata premium for the non-period claim and provided there is no pending claim. By disclaimer, if any disclaimer by the company, lodge a suit in 12 months or otherwise it will be presumed to be accepted by the insured. As I told you, in case of a higher court appeal, 50% of the compensation amount has to be paid to the lower court, but the professional indemnity insurance covers that also. So if you don't want to have any headaches, please cover up in time. Please cover yourself in time. Take adequate cover and don't keep a gap between any two renewals. Always remember that there is also one thing called as retroactive date, which I'll just come to that slide shortly. And remember that retroactive date is the date which you have to remember, is the date when you have taken up the policy. Do not publicize or mention anywhere that you have got insurance cover. That is the first important thing. In anywhere in your website or in your letterhead, always remain within your field of practice, because the moment you have cross practice, your claims can get cancelled. Inform insurers stat when you anticipate trouble and preserve and take their stamped acknowledgement. Adequate coverage, that is insurance for 50 lakhs to 2 crores. Always renew 15 to 30 days earlier than the date of expiry. Give truthful information. And remember that to check the retroactive date, that is the date of purchase of the first policy, is very much important. So I think we will stop over here. And more things can go on. So thank you all.
Thank you, Meenakshi. It was a wonderful session by you. You really very elaborative and informative, and I'm sure we got many practical tips. All those who are attending are getting practical tips. One major concern for me while listening to the list of exclusions, and that is the area I think where all the organizations need to negotiate with the insurance companies. So thank you.
There are companies which give different, attractions for people to take.
Yeah, but then it's need of our and many of the colleagues who have not yet insured themselves must go ahead with that should be the first thing when you start with thinking of doing or continuing the practice. So thank you very much, and I hand over to Sandhya for the further sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vajanti ma'am. Thanks
you,
a lot
thank you.
for your comments. I'm so sorry I introduced you, but I think I wasn't audible. So just for most of them know you, but just in short, at present she's the treasurer POGS, and also she is the senior vice president IMA, and she is a state and national level trainer for maternal child health, family planning, POSH and POSCO. Thank you, ma'am, and sorry for the delay in
No
introduction.
problem at all, dear. Yeah. Thank you.
With this, we move on to the third session, and that is on intrapartum care, a topic which is close to our hearts, being obstetricians. And for that, I welcome the chairperson, Sir Dr. Mangala Vani. Mangala Madam is the executive vice president POGS. Is a senior gynecologist practicing in Pune, and we all know her as a lactation consultant and the director of Hirkani. And also, just a moment. Yeah, and past president, Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India. She is a treasurer, MSR Maharashtra chapter, ISA 2014-16, clinical secretary, POGS 2018-19, course director, IBCLC lactation training, national trainer for IOICF, Dr. Shirodkar, Oration, Solapur OBGYN Society, and she has many achievements to her name. Welcome, madam. Our next chairperson is Dr. Sanjay Punde. He is a director of Lifeline Hospital and USG Center, Pune, panel consultant at PCMC Hospital, Pimpri Chinchwad, assistant professor, DY Patil Medical College. And he has a special interest in high-risk obstetrics and laparoscopy. And at present, he is a active managing committee member. Welcome, sir. So for the next session, which is by Dr. Ruchi Thakur, I would like to request Dr. Sanjay Punde sir to formally introduce Dr. Ruchi Thakur. Over to you, sir.
We can't hear you, Dr. Sanjay.
Sanjay, sir? Yeah, joined actually.
Dr. Sanjay, you have to unmute. No, he's still muted. We can't hear you, Dr. Sanjay.
Ma'am, there's some technical problem. I would request you to introduce Ruchi, madam.
Okay. Thank you, Sandhya, for the kind words.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. There is a famous line in our PDD. There is a tricks in obstetrics. And today, to give us some tips and tricks on obstetrics and intrapartum management, Dr. Ruchi madam will guide us on intrapartum care. Madam is the head of unit at BJ Medical College and Sassoon General Hospital. She has experienced more than 15 years in UG and PG teachers and in specialty in high-risk obstetrics and preventive oncology. Mic to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Ruchi, are you there?
I think you may have to ask her to unmute and video on.
She has, no, she's not muted. Hello, Dr. Ruchi. Sandhya, you want to call her and just check?
Ma'am, I've called her.
Okay.
Unmute करायला सांग रुचीला.
Yeah, she is unmuted.
But is she there, available just now?
Yes, we can see her, but
okay,
can't hear her.
No, I can't see her also.
She joined.
She's there, Mangala. You can see her, Ruchi Nityananda Thakur.
Yes.
Her video is not on.
Video is not there.
I don't know, means she's sitting there or not. Sandhya, please call her again.
Ma'am, I'm speaking with her only. Actually, she is there, but she's not visible.
But is she audible?
The voice audible?
But then, what's the problem with her video? Just ensure that she has really put on the video.
Sir, I've asked her to log in again, maybe, but I can hear her actually. I don't know.
तिला फॅकल्टी लिंक वरनं लॉग इन करायचं.
काय सॉरी काय सांगू?
फॅकल्टी लिंक वरनं.
मी फॅकल्टी लिंकच पाठवली मॅडम त्यांना मी.
हां,
आय सेंड द
हां.
फॅकल्टी लिंक.
हां. आणि ती जर डेलिगेट लिंक वरनं करत
Ah,
असेल-
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
She is
yes,
there.
Ma'am, now you're visible and your slides are visible.
Yeah.
Hello, Ruchi.
Audio too.
Ruchi.
It
doesn't seem to be audible also now, though the video is on.
She has started the PPT,
The
but we can't hear her.
Yeah, that's true. But better we have audio also.
I told her that her screen is visible, but can't see her and she's not audible.
Hello, Ruchi. Hello.
जाताना किती गर्दी होती, देतानाच गर्दी होती टिळकला. किती? पॅन्डल्स बनलेले.
Hello. Hello, Ruchi. I don't know what's happening.
So Sandhya, who is sharing her presentation? Are you or her?
No, ma'am, she is only sharing. That's what I said, that your presentation is visible, but you are not visible, neither you are audible. But नाही काही कळत नाही मला. I can't help from here. I don't know what to do.
But then did you call her?
Yes, sir, I called her and I told her that your screen is visible, but you are not visible. She said there's some technical glitch. I don't know. So I was trying to figure out who can help her. I was calling the event people.
Okay. I think nowadays it's so.
She has messaged that she needs technical help.
for positive childbirth. So what is meant by positive childbirth? So basically by positive childbirth, we mean that the mother should feel safe in her environment, and she should be clinically and psychologically happy. Plus, she should also have very good technical support, and the woman should have a say when we are making decisions about the labor. Say when we are asking her to have epidural analgesia, or when we are giving an episiotomy, or what position she wants to take while she's delivering, what is she comfortable with. So all these things are combined to form what we call as the positive childbirth. So positive childbirth basically also involves the most important thing, and that is respectful maternity care. Respectful maternity care is that the woman has her dignity, she has privacy, she has confidentiality, and there is no mistreatment. Mistreatment can be of several types. So it could be physical abuse, it could be not providing adequate choices, not giving her good confidentiality and privacy, or just it could be as simple as components of respectful maternity care. A charter was given in this regard by the WHO. This is called as the White Ribbon Charter. And as obstetricians, we have to be very aware of these charters, and we have to maintain it in our workplace. So that is what gives us standardization. Another thing, as has been again and again stressed in earlier two talks, that communication has to be wonderful. So how the labor process is going to be, what are the woman's preferences, what difficulties can occur, everything should be talked in a very good manner. Another thing is the choice of birth companion. Throughout, she feels comfortable, she can communicate more effectively. So this is equally necessary when we decide about labor. So there are few recommendations. We will be examining the evidences and recommending which we can change in our practice. So one of the recommendation that has come ahead since 2018 is the change in definition of latent labor and active first stage of labor. So earlier, latent labor was defined as till 3 centimeters of dilatation. But now we are defining it as dilatation up to 5 centimeters. The rationale behind the choice of this is that the interventions are less when we define active stage of labor from 5 centimeters. And there is adequate evidence that you can see. The evidence here that you can very well see is that the confidence levels and the 95th percentiles are definitely of interventions are definitely less in nulliparous women and multiparous women. Okay, and now when we talk about duration, there has been change in duration as well. So the first stage of labor should not extend beyond 12 hours, and in trainees and in multigravida, it should not extend on 10 hours. Earlier, these limits, and this ensures that we give each woman a time to progress on her own according to her physiology and according to her anatomical changes that are occurring during labor and do not apply a single definition to in which states that for women with the rate of dilatation of cervix should be 1 centimeter per hour. This is what was the definition. But this definition also does not hold true now because every woman takes her own time to dilate. So the interventions like early use of oxytocin or early amniotomy is not indicated. And remember, one of the commonest indications for primary cesarean sections is non-progress of labor or delayed progress of labor or prolonged labor, as we call it. So this definition has also changed. We are in process of inculcating these changes in the partograph. So it would require a complete change in the partogram and training of the birth attendants, the obstetricians and midwives to suit this new definition. Another thing that we have, this is the evidence again for this, where you can see again the confidence intervals that are very low. Another recommendation that we are now seeing is when should you admit the patient in the labor ward? So early admission to labor ward is again not advocated because early admission means there would be early interventions whether she requires or she doesn't require it. So again, this is what we are advocating. Auscultation. So most of the institutes, most of the hospitals now have cardiotocography. It has been found that cardiotocography rather increases the intervention in form of cesarean section, because if you are seeing even a small deceleration, you become extremely cautious, and this overcautious approach lot of time leads to unnecessary interventions. So rather than continuous cardiotocography for uncomplicated women, what is rather recommended is use of stethoscopes simply and Dopplers, and the way we were doing earlier, like every 15 to 20 minutes in first stage and every 5 minutes in second stage. This is what is advocated. Then we come to other recommendations where routine perineal shaving is again contraindicated, and rather if the patient is going to undergo only vaginal delivery, she is uncomplicated, there is no need to shave, because when we are shaving, we create a lot of raw areas, which can increase the chances of infection. So in this situation, what is the chances of infection are clipping or clippers. Administration of enema is again a contraindication, not recommended. It's again a contraindication. It is also not strictly analgesia is in fact indicated as a choice of analgesia over opioid analgesics or over other things like antispasmodics or anafortan, which was used earlier. So because it has been found that it is much safer for the fetus and for the mother. So
Can
here
I
in this
interfere?
diagram, you can actually see that.
Can I interfere? Because your
Yes, ma'am.
network is still little interrupted. If you turn off your video, maybe your audio at least will be continuous. So turn off your video.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
ma'am, I'll do that.
Ma'am, and also if possible, can you resend the PPT, because I haven't received, because that's why they cannot share. If possible, otherwise then we can continue.
I have mailed it to you already.
I didn't get the mail, ma'am.
I
Anyway,
have mailed it to Sandhya.
Yeah, I think because of the network issue, maybe she hasn't received, but
Yes.
that is okay. you just keep talking and we will listen to it. It's going nicely.
I'm extremely sorry, madam. It's my apologies. I'm coming to the end of the lecture. I'll share the video anyway. So when we talk about the analgesia, the technique that we are talking about now is the needle on needle technique, where one is an epidural catheter and inside it is the spinal needle. So what we are doing is that we are going in the epidural space as well as little bit of intrathecal space. So this gives a very good epidural analgesia, which is not going to cause a motor blockade. So a woman with epidural analgesia can still walk, she can still be mobile, she can pass urine, and she can also push when the need arises. So this is a technique that we are now applying. Besides this, the change of drugs in anesthesia has brought about a lot of changes for our patients. One of them is that we are using levobupivacaine, which has lesser motor blockade, but gives a very good sensory blockade. So the patient would not complain of pain and will continue to bear down when it is needed. Then when we talk, till now I have been talking about the first stage of labor. Another thing that comes to our mind during first stage of labor is mobility. So mobility also should be allowed for all the women. This is the recommendation number 28, which states that you have to go ahead with mobility in patients who are not complicated. They should continue to move. They should go and pass urine. Another thing, the recommendation that the WHO recommends to us is ingestion of food and liquids so that the patients are not hypoglycemic. It has been found in a study, as shown in the presentation, that Mendelssohn syndrome or aspiration pneumonia is actually very, very less. So intake of fluids and other things is in fact indicated in these particular patients. So this was about the first stage of labor. Another thing is that we should also allow them to have their own positions, specifically with epidural analgesia. So these patients should be allowed along with the birth companion. What second stage of labor, perineal massage obviously has a role. It has been found to decrease, in fact, the incidence of perineal trauma. And my presentation, so perineal massage should be practiced, hands-on warm compresses should also be practiced, and perineal trauma should also would be definitely reduced by these things. Another thing is that all recommended, it has to be case-based and individualized as per the patient's need. But definitely a liberal episiotomy is not going to prevent OSI or perineal trauma in any way. This is what the evidence says. When we come to the third stage of labor, active management is again indicated by WHO's recommendations, which is necessary to reduce the blood loss. Number one. Another thing is controlled cord traction. Wherever a good skilled birth attendant is present, should always be practiced. As regards to the newborn, when we talk about newborn, delayed cord clamping is very important. Skin to skin contact, as madam knows very well, is very, very important again in these patients. And breast crawl should be very, very much given in cases of vaginal birth as well as cesarean sections. The mothers should be encouraged to go ahead with breast crawl. They should be sensitized, and the staff also needs sensitization. Another thing is about the bathing of the newborn. So bathing is not necessary till 24 hours. This is what the WHO is recommending. And in cases of cultural beliefs or other things, at the max, bathing can be given after 6 to 8 hours after birth, not immediately after birth, because it increases the incidence of hypothermia in these patients. So these are the things that we have to remember. So this is what the positive care was all about. There are various circles of WHO care which have to be done cumulatively to give a positive birth experience to a mother. So that is all. I'm very sorry about the technological glitches. So that was my lecture. My references would be seen once we share the PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. In spite of all the obstacles, you managed to present it beautifully, and so many things. And you just focus how important it is, the mother-centered care, and mothers should be happy during labor, and she should be more relaxed, so that there is a lot of oxytocin, so these things are so important. So you stress the importance of the first stage, importance of the second stage, and importance of the third stage. Really, really wonderful. And what you said in the third stage, even after delivery, once she is more relaxed during the labor, she's is going to have a successful breastfeeding as well, because she's going to have a lot of oxytocin. And you said that initiation within 1 hour after birth, the importance of the breastfeeding. Thank you so much. Dr. Sanjay, are you there?
Yes, madam, I'm here.
Yes, you want to add anything?
No, madam, thank you. That is why I tell in the first line that there is always tricks in obstetrics. So it needs tricks everywhere. Everyone has his own tricks, every institute has its own tricks, and that will help us, each of us, during our day-to-day practice, madam.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ruchi.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Bhalera here. Ruchi, you said that we can food and liquid the patient postpartum, but
sir.
also said that the Mendelssohn syndrome chances are quite less. But then, which food would you like to recommend? Liquids are okay, but which food would you like to recommend?
Sir, mostly it would be a very easily digestible, simple semi-solids or semi-liquid fluids are what is more preferred over solid food intake.
Can I ask a question, Dr. Ruchi? Yeah, with the permission of the chairs. Yeah, it was a wonderful and elaborate, very informative session, and being WHO guidelines. Of course, they're all evidence-based guidelines. But then as I was listening to every line, there are few things which are contrary to what we have been practicing, especially now you said the partograph is also going to be modified, right? So if we are on the cusp of what we were practicing earlier and what we are practicing now. So what is expected now? So we need to make these guidelines more reachable to each and every person, maybe through POGS practicing person, because otherwise those who miss such type of sessions, it is difficult for them to follow that. And especially today being a medical legal seminar, it's very easy when there are two different type of guidelines, and then it's easy to be actually prosecuted also on these grounds that now the WHO guidelines come out with this. So that is, I would say, a little sad part of our practice, that our guidelines keep changing. That is another thing. Of course, we need to be always with you people. Academics have to be very strong. And thank you for sharing the latest guidelines. I can request you to share your presentation maybe on the group so that it can be circulated as this.
Yes, surely, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Part, if you share the presentation, there are so many changes, so everybody.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for being so encouraging and bearing with the technological glitches. Thanks a lot to the audience.
Online, these hitches are always there. What I do normally, I always, email my presentation to somebody. So if there's a problem for me, the other person, like example, Dr. Sandhya, she's ready, there. So
Yes,
she can
yes, yes.
share
I would be
immediately.
better prepared
Yes.
next time.
And again, now you
Obviously.
have the laptop is also on and your mobile also
Yes, yes,
on.
I'm
So
away from the
तुम्ही
laptop.
इथेच आहेत का? तुम्ही इथे आहे IMA मध्ये? नाहीये, बरं ठीक आहे.
So, Dr. Meenakshi,
हो,
now I
हो.
think,
ठीक
hello,
आहे.
Dr. Meenakshi.
बरोबर. आणि
Meenakshi is
ठरव.
on the
हा.
phone.
Yes, Aarti, you are there. So,
Yeah.
shall we end the session then?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Dr. Amol is.
Okay. Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, now. Yes, Sandhya.
Am I audible? Yeah. Dr. Amol was supposed to going to give the vote of thanks, but he is busy with the surgery. So I have been given the task to thank everyone. So I would like to thank our guest of honors, Dr. Anand Bhalerao sir, Dr. Dilip Parke sir. It's always pleasurable listening to you, and your pearls of wisdom always add a lot of value to us. Thank you, Dr. Aarti Nimkar, our President POGS, for always giving encouragement to the Cutting Edge webinar series and for her constant support. Thank you for the speakers, Dr. Manish Matsve sir, Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande, Dr. Ruchi Thakur. These were excellent talks, and I'm sure that audience must have benefited from it. And thank you, respectable chairpersons, Dr. Meenu Madam, Dr. Charulata Madam, Dr. Vaijayanti, Dr. Mangala Vani, Dr. Lakshmikant Behle, and Dr. Sanjay Punde for being so nice chairpersons, and and especially Dr. Mangala for complete nicely encouraging Dr. Ruchi in spite of the technical glitches. It was really wonderful. So at the last, I would like to thank BSV and RX Events for their coordination. Thank you everyone.
Sandhya.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Aarti म्हणलंस तरी चालेल.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Anand sir.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the managing committee members from my side and Dilip for calling here as a guest of honor. And the programs at both the lectures were very good, and the presentations were also very good. And the third one, which was presented by very much my associate in the BJ, Ruchi, but then because of some technical problems, yes, we could not get certain things which she has talked of, but then we are sure that she will spare her lecture on the group so that each one of us will have whatever details you wanted to present and whatever details which we have missed. Otherwise, the program was very good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
everyone.
joining and remaining till the end.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Yes.
Manish, bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Aarti. Bye, Meenakshi. Bye,
Bye, bye, Manish.
आमचा
Bye.
व्हिडिओ चालू नाही होते.
आमचा इथे व्हिडिओ बंद करून टाकलाय त्यांनी, त्यामुळे इट हॅज बीन स्टॉप्ड बाय द होस्ट.
Thank you everyone.
Okay, so you can stop the recording, Mr. Prasad.
Recording stopped.
आमचा व्हिडिओ का बंद करून टाकला POGS?
प्रेसिडेंट सेक्रेटरीलाच गायब केलं त्यांनी.
गायब करून टाकला आम्हाला.